Everyone at Ridgeview Memorial called her the Quiet One. Nobody knew her real name. Nobody knew what she used to do. She wore scrubs 2 sizes too big and kept her eyes on the floor. She answered call bells before they finished ringing. She never raised her voice, never argued, never explained herself. For 6 years, she had disappeared into that hospital like a shadow folds into a wall. Then, on a Tuesday morning in October, a little girl walked through the emergency room doors holding a stranger's hand and said 4 words that cracked her whole world open. "Mom's sick. So I came." The room went still. Because the woman standing behind that girl wasn't her mother. And the 6-year-old wasn't talking to the woman behind her. She was talking to the nurse. Before we go further, welcome to Silent Heroes. If stories about quiet people carrying extraordinary pasts hit you right in the chest, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from tonight. Now guess this. How old do you think this nurse really is? Keep that number in your head. You're about to find out you're wrong. Ridgeview Memorial sat on the edge of a mid-sized city, the kind of hospital that saw car wrecks on Friday nights and flu season panic every winter. Nothing special. Nothing anyone would call dangerous. The nurse's name tag read Sarah Combs. That wasn't her real name. She had chosen it herself, 6 years ago, standing in a DMV line with a folder of new documents and a heart that wouldn't stop pounding. She had pale gray eyes that rarely lingered on anyone too long. A thin white scar ran along the edge of her left eyebrow, barely visible unless the light hit it right. Her hands were steady, always steady, but she kept them tucked into her pockets when she wasn't working, like she didn't trust what people might see if they looked too closely. She had learned the fastest way to survive was to make herself small. Small didn't get questioned. Small didn't get remembered. Small didn't get found. Dr. Preston Hale ran the emergency department like a kingdom, and he liked reminding people of it. He was tall, sharp-jawed, the kind of handsome that photographed well for hospital fundraising brochures. He had built a reputation on confidence, not competence, and he protected that reputation the way other people protected their children. His favorite line, delivered to nurses in front of patients, was simple. "I didn't ask for your opinion. I asked for your hands." He said it to Sarah at least once a week. She never answered back. Old Mr. Whitfield, a diabetic patient who came in every few months for wound care, was the only one who ever said anything different. He'd grab her wrist gently while she checked his dressing and say, "You've seen things, haven't you? I can tell. Man doesn't get hands that steady from filling out charts." She'd smile and change the subject. Every time. He'd remember that later. Everyone would. The crisis came without warning, the way it always does. A multi-car pileup on the interstate sent 4 ambulances screaming toward the ER at once. Doors burst open. Gurneys crashed through the hallway. Trauma callouts overlapped each other in a wall of noise. Dr. Hale took command immediately, loud and certain, directing staff toward the wrong patients first. The ones who were screaming, not the ones who were silent. Silent was worse. Sarah knew that. She moved toward the 3rd gurney, where a middle-aged man lay eerily still, his lips faintly blue, his abdomen distended and tight. Hale had already dismissed him. Stable. Low priority. He wasn't stable. His pulse was rapid and thready. His pressure was dropping. His pupils weren't reacting the way they should. Internal bleeding. Fast. Silent. Deadly. She said nothing yet. She just moved closer. That's when the little girl appeared in the doorway. She couldn't have been older than 6, dirty sneakers, a stuffed rabbit clutched in one arm, being led in by a paramedic who explained she'd been found wandering near the crash site, refusing to leave until she found the nurse. The girl's eyes locked onto Sarah across the chaos of the room. She let go of the paramedic's hand. She walked straight toward her, weaving between gurneys like she'd done it 100 times before, and looked up with a certainty that didn't belong on a child's face. "Mom's sick," she said. "So I came." The word hit the room like a detonation. Because Mom wasn't a word this child should have been using for a stranger. And the way she said it, flat, rehearsed, coded, wasn't the language of a lost little girl. It was a phrase, a signal, a call sign. Hale turned, irritated by the interruption. Get this child out of my ER. Sarah didn't move. Her hands, tucked so carefully into her pockets for 6 years, came out steady. Her spine straightened. Something in her face changed. The tiredness fell away, replaced by something colder, sharper, older. For the first time in 6 years, she looked directly at Dr. Hale and didn't look away. No, she said quietly. I am just done hiding. The room didn't understand what had just happened. Dr. Hale didn't understand it either. But something in Sarah's voice made 3 nurses stop mid-motion. She knelt to the little girl's level for exactly 2 seconds. Where is she? Sarah said. Not a question. A command dressed as one. Parking garage. Level 2. She said wait by the blue car if I couldn't find you. The girl's voice was small but precise, like she'd rehearsed it in her head the whole drive over. Sarah looked at the nearest tech. Get security to level 2, blue car, unknown medical emergency, adult female. Now. Then she turned back to the man on gurney 3, the one Hale had waved off as stable. He wasn't. His abdomen was rigid, his skin cool and clammy, his breathing shallow and fast. Classic signs of internal hemorrhage, blood pooling somewhere it shouldn't, blood pressure crashing as the body ran out of volume to compensate. In real medicine, this is called Beck's triad territory when it involves the heart, or simple hypovolemic shock when it's the abdomen. Either way, the warning signs are the same. Falling blood pressure, racing heart, altered mental status, and a belly that's gone hard as a drum. Left untreated, a patient can bleed out internally in under 20 minutes with almost no external sign of injury. That's what made it so easy for Hale to miss. He's crashing, Sarah said, already cutting away the man's shirt. 2 large-bore IVs, wide open, O-negative now, and get me an ultrasound for a fast exam. I need to know if there's free fluid in the abdomen before he loses any more pressure. Hale stepped in front of her. I gave my assessment. Stand down. Your assessment is wrong. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. His pressure's 80 over palp and dropping. He's got maybe 10 minutes. A tech, wide-eyed, was already spiking the 4-bag before Hale could object again. Sarah's hands didn't shake. Not once. Not the way they used to when a doctor stared her down. She placed the ultrasound probe against the man's abdomen with the kind of practiced calm that belonged to someone who had done this in far worse places than a suburban ER. Free fluid. Confirmed. Trauma surgery now, she said. Tell them ruptured spleen, active bleed. He needs the ore in the next 15 minutes or he doesn't make it to the next hour. Hale's face had gone pale. Around them, the department had gone quiet, the kind of quiet that happens when a room realizes it's just watched the wrong person be in charge the whole time. Security found the girl's mother collapsed beside a blue sedan on level 2, unconscious, a medical bracelet on her wrist reading a name that made the responding guard's radio crackle with confusion. They didn't recognize the name. Sarah did the second she heard it relayed over the radio. She excused herself from the trauma bay for exactly 90 seconds. When she came back, something in her had shifted again, like a second layer had been peeled away. Hale used the moment to strike. You're relieved, he said, loud enough for the department to hear. Insubordination, unauthorized medical directives, and endangering a patient with an unqualified diagnosis. I want your badge. Nobody moved to take it from her. Nobody looked convinced either. No, Sarah said again, and this time the whole room heard it. The patient upstairs is being prepped for surgery because of that diagnosis. I'm not leaving until he's out of the woods, and I'm not leaving until that little girl's mother is stable. You can write me up after. A crowd of staff had gathered by now, drawn by the noise. Nobody defended Hale. A few exchanged glances that said everything his ego refused to hear. By 6:40 that evening, 2 men in dark government sedans walked into Ridgeview's lobby and asked for her. Not Sarah Combs, but a name none of the staff had ever heard, followed by a rank. The senior of the two, a silver-haired man with an admiral's insignia on his jacket, found her outside the ore waiting room. He didn't salute. He didn't need to. He simply said her name, her real one, and the whole department turned to look. "Captain," he said, "you've been off-grid for 6 years. Do you know how many people have been looking for you?" Sarah, the name on her badge, not the truth of her, closed her eyes for a moment. Then she nodded once. "I know, Admiral. I needed to disappear for a while." He turned to Hale, who had gone the color of old paper. "This woman," the Admiral said, voice carrying across the lobby, "spent 4 years as a combat trauma specialist attached to a Joint Special Operations Unit. She has a Bronze Star, 2 commendations for valor under fire, and a security clearance most people in this building couldn't pronounce. She has forgotten more about triage than you will ever learn." Hale opened his mouth. Nothing useful came out. I didn't know. There's no way I could have." "You didn't ask," the Admiral said flatly. "You just assumed she was small enough to talk over." Hale was escorted out by hospital administration within the hour, his authority stripped on the spot, his self-incriminating stammering the last thing anyone remembered of him.